paper, I was always amazed to flip through it and see, who's the key writing this newspaper, and then J. And to look, and it's truly just two people, Jay and Kelly, that put that incredible newspaper together every 2 weeks. And so I always really enjoyed it. Before I worked here, I can say it's been an honor to be able to work with you this last year too. So yeah, thank you for everything that you do. And I didn't want to say much because I think the guy behind me is much better at saying these kind of things than I am. But thank you so much, Jay, and thank you for your service.
Well, again, Jay, on behalf of Bishop McKnight, I want to offer the congratulations of the entire diocese to you for your silver anniversary here. And for those of you who don't know much about Jay, he's kind of a minimalist. There's nothing in his office. Yeah, and I can somewhat relate to that, but not quite as much. The other thing is, of course, over these years, I've had the good fortune to work with Jay from the get-go, there from the start, and him coming in, and yeah, we've seen quite a bit of diocesan history. Jay loves history. If you know that, you know Jay. He is a walking encyclopedia of the history of this diocese, not only in knowledge from a book, but also he has been on the properties, I think, of just about every one of the parishes here in the diocese, and that is no small accomplishment. He's also kind of an old soul. You know what I mean? I keep envisioning him with a fedora, with a business card in there. You know what I mean? And, sometimes when I make my pilgrimage up there to see what's going on, I'm waiting for that typewriter to come out to put all that together. But all of the times when we have been together, it's always been a pleasure. You've always been very professional, and also you are able to do what many people can and cannot do. You can absorb both praise and criticism and learn from both. So I'm very much appreciative of you for that. And as I said during my brief homily, editor is like a director of an orchestra. You know what I mean? You have to know when to call on and who to quiet down and who to give more attention to. And over the years, you've certainly done that. One of the greatest criticisms the diocese always faces is all the news comes from Cole County. And through your efforts, we have been able to blast that urban legend right out of the water. So thank you, Jay. And on behalf of Bishop McKnight, here is a small token of our esteem. So let's give Jay a round of applause. So it's my pleasure now to introduce to you our emeritus of 20 years, who was wise enough to hire Jay. So let's give Bishop Gatus a nice warm.
I would say more, I was present at the creation. But I knew shortly afterwards that, as with so many things that happens in our lives, it was divine providence had too much more to do with this than I ever did. You can't imagine my shock, my surprise. I knew we were looking for somebody to help put out the Missourian. We were short-staffed, and so they were running this ad in Missourian, among other places. And I told them, I said, well, do the search committee. I said, just send me a list of 3 names, and I'll be happy to work with you all and see who you can get. We can look and see what you think. And so one afternoon, Sister Ethel Marie, who was the chancellor at the time, she comes trotting in, and she presents this thing, and you can see this would be typical of them. Because she did not know that I'd known him since he was a little boy. And he's on the top of the list. And I said, are you kidding? I said, because I could see he was from St. Louis and all this. I said, this is him, And she said, yeah. I said, well, let's go with it. I didn't know what was going to happen. This will be interesting. And the reason, it had to be a little providential also, because I was always reluctant to have anything dealing with St. Louis around me, because people would say, oh, he's burning that man, you know. And so I never, but I thought, well, you know, I'll go with this one. And am I glad I did? It's been a very, very wonderful thing. And Jay, you know, I only had to act as publisher a couple times, I think. Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes it'd be after the paper was already in the mail. He'd get a little call from me. But it was always very, very good. You know, we both, I think, he really wanted to help, because the challenge, you know, you got what, all this territory here, and trying to have people a sense of belonging to a place like it is really something. And this is one of the most important ways we do it, is through the paper. And he was right away getting into you know, every dog and pony show in the parish. And the dinners, you know, our paper is known for advertising all the parish dinners, but that is such an important phase, and that goes back to our days. It's the fall festival in St. Joseph, their home parish, where I was maybe you guys don't know that. The reason I know him for so long is because my first assignment as a young priest was at St. Joseph, Manchester, and they were building it. When I was started in theology, it was still just a little bitty country parish, St. Joseph, Manchester. It was so far away. My dad only got him out one time for a fall festival, and all the time he was there, he was complaining about the long ride you're going to have to go back home. But anyway, all of a sudden, I get assigned to this thing, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be involved in 4-H clubs and farm all tractors and everything. And it turned out it was the largest parish in New York State. It had exploded in 4 years. And one of those places was a dear pastor that we all have very great affection for. He called it, oh, that's our Vatican City. Right? It was the name of this subdivision where, among others, the Nies itself. And so I said, you have a great story about that. Now, who was it? Yeah. Oh, you're the one that.
It was Bridget.
Huh?
It was Bridget.
Yeah, Bridget. Yeah. I baptized her, and then they were telling me the story. This gives you an idea of the atmosphere of the place. All right. The fact is, you had somebody who was coming in.
Jerry called.
Yeah.
Jerry called up there and asked if we could have her baby baptized. We couldn't come to the regular Sunday one because her godmother was pregnant and lived in Chicago and wouldn't be able to travel. He says, well, I'm sorry, the pastor never budges on this.
And he never did.
We always did. And my husband said to him, without knowing that this was a mortal sin, he said, don't worry about it. We'll get a gem to do it down at the college church.
That's all I needed to hear. I said, well, just I'll get back to you. Jerry, God love him, God rest him, he said the magic word, genuine. And sure enough, I think within the day, I called back and said, okay, yeah, we'll have it. But this is the kind of, you know, the kind of atmosphere and everything that we were through, and I couldn't believe it. I was having this plug-in to my very first entry into pastoral life. So it's been a great moment, and you still have a lot of work in you, I can tell. All right, many words. He's got lots of words. So thank you very much, my friend, my colleague, one who works in the field of the vineyard of the Lord with us. Thanks again. Your best work's probably yet to come. Thank you.
Now I'd ask Sister Kathleen, who worked for many years with Jay, to come forward.
Yes.
Sorry, Jay. you were the provincial when Sister Ethel Marie came in.
Yes, I was provincial. I followed Sister Ethel Marie as chancellor. My name is Sister Kathleen. I worked 13 years with Jay. I inherited Jay, Sister Ethel Marie. Excuse me. And at those in those days in the history of the diocese, the function of moderator of the Curia was fulfilled also by the chancellor. So I had the happy opportunity to announce to Jay one day that we were going to have the carpets cleaned. Now, if you've ever been into his office, the newspapers, well, he assured me that it was clean underneath. I wouldn't take his word for it. But the other thing is, the 13 years, I have to say, Jay was a great co-worker. Jay has an unusual instinct to know when you're struggling or not doing well. Those of you who work with him probably know that, right, Kelly?
Yes.
And he would come by, my office was down at that employee entrance, he'd come in and he'd say, Sister, I'm praying for you. Looks like you're having a bad day. You didn't have to say anything. Just very sensitive. I really enjoyed that, Jay. Thank you for all your goodness. The other thing is, hold on, Bishop Gatos, this includes you. If you ever travel to parishes with Bishop Gatos, it was a quick flight. Bishop Gatos had a heavy foot, and I don't think you ever got stopped, did you?
Never did.
Never did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one day, we were going to go celebrate the 125th anniversary of the parish in Cahokia, which was the first time I saw a picture on the wall with Monsignor Kerwicki when he had hair. It was a revelation. He served up there. Anyway, we're driving there up to Cahokia. I don't know what time the service was.
It's the farthest northeast corner of the diocese, where Iowa and Illinois come together.
That's right. We were together. Jay was driving. Bishop Gatos was in the front seat, and I was happily in the back. I learned later it was the safest place to be. We're tootling along. Now, Bishop Gatos always had a rule. We'd start a meeting on time. He would say, we don't punish the punctual. So he was adamant to get places on time and a little ahead of time. We're tootling along, and Jay's looking at this and talking to everything. Bishop Gatos says, Jay, the ceremony is today. And you can go 70 miles an hour here. It was hilarious. Jay's like, okay.
That's good.
It was, we get up there and he says, I don't think I better ever offer to take Bishop Gatos again. You're a wise man, Jay. A wise man.
He just let me drive.
He wouldn't let you drive. He wouldn't, that's right. He wouldn't let me drive home either. I don't know what that was about, but we made it both ways, and it was a fun time. But I just want to thank you, Jay, for the great, well, I could tell one story that's not so good. Is that okay? We had an all-staff meeting, and Jay can be very casual, at least in those days he was. And of course, I was running the meeting. Jay comes in. You remember this, when you put your foot on the table? Oh, I do. Anyway, I'm running the meeting, and somehow the front seat is open here, so Jay leans back and he puts his feet up on the table.
Oh my goodness.
That's right. You didn't teach him that. I don't know where it came from. But anyway, I must have looked at him like, I didn't say anything. I remember not saying anything. We came out of the meeting, and Jay says, Sister, I saw your principal look. I'll never do it again. Love you, Jay. Love you, Jay.
Very nice. That's good.
It wasn't your fault.
We observed today, not a victory of party, but a... Sorry. I'd like to introduce everybody who doesn't know. This is Mary Frankie, my girlfriend, my favorite Mary Frankie. My favorite little sister, Bridget. My brother Philip, my little brother Philip. My mom, Vandy. Not
quite his little brother, Timmy. My favorite big sister, Andrea, Deadweiler. And her husband, my brother-in-law, Mark Deadweiler. It's good to be here. A couple of things Jacob said, maybe just a thought or two. When I came here, I was the youngest person in the chancery. And Father Behan took a liking to calling me young friend, which I thought was really cool because he had been editing the newspaper longer than I'd been alive. And so I took a liking to that phrase. But the first two big front page stories I did one was that they rededicated the cemetery in Lake Creek, and then a week later they reworked on the church down in Laurie that's surrounded by cemetery. And so I did a story about 2 weeks in a row we had these cemeteries. He says, you keep putting pictures of cemeteries on the front page where churches are living out of the dead, you understand? And I said, but we believe in the communion of saints, and those people out in the cemetery, they're every bit as much of a parish as those people sitting at the pews. But they're not reading the paper, you understand? So that's what working with Father Hugh Francis was like. And then one day we weren't working for him anymore. One day it was just, he wasn't there anymore, and we figured out a way to carry on, and we did, because that's what we do. We no matter what's going on, we move forward. This collective ministry that we all do together, that we all contribute to. It just keeps on happening. God never stops working with us or through us, not on 9/11, not when the Pope dies or when the Pope resigns or when the Pope gets shellacked in the media, not during that long Lent we all shared in 2020, not during that long Lent that some of us shared in 2002. But ministry and conversion, sacraments, healing, reconciliation, and charity, it all keeps happening around us no matter what's going on. And the deadlines keep coming. So I think of what Don Corrigan, who was one of my first editors, he said to me, he said, "I'm as good as your next edition, so get your ass to work." But I like how Father Henry Reichert said it better. He said, the best song has never been sung. It's out there waiting for all of us to sing it and bring the gospel to the world. That's what I hope we keep doing together. And that's what I pray for all of you to keep doing.
Very good.
Thank you.